Hi, welcome to my channel, Reader Woman. My name's Judy, and let's talk books, or book tag. I'm doing the page 112 tag that originated with Shaun the Book Maniac. So I have 3 novels of various literary quality that I haven't read yet, and I thought it'd be fun to do this tag. The way he came up with it, he was basing it off of French literary organizations who choose the merit of a book not by the beginning, which is what is usually, highly pruned and made perfect, but going to page 112, where the author is more writing the way they normally write. So I thought we would start and with 3 books, and then we'll see what I think, and you can let me know what you think would be your first read. Okay, the first one. Benji is talking with Shooter and the 4 Alexanders from Hobart: Alex K, Alex B, Alex W, and Xander. Greer is fond of Benji's Hobart friends. All of them have spent long weekends here at Summerland, but no one has captured Greer's heart quite as much as Shooter. Shooter Uxley is the son of a Palm Beach real estate scion, I don't know exactly how, scion, and his mistress. Shooter's mother got pregnant with the sole intention of eliciting a marriage proposal, but it never came. The father had 5 other children by 2 wives, and he was senile enough to let one of his older sons oversee his will, which cut Shooter and his mother out entirely. Shooter had somehow managed to produce the tuition for his last year at St. George's, but after graduation he had been forced to find a job. That he had turned himself into such a success is a testament to his intelligence, his charm, and his perseverance. Greer sips her champagne and wanders to the Raw Bar, where Tag is sucking down oyster after oyster, dripping shellfish liquor onto his bespoke pink shirt, tailored for him at Henry Pool. Despite how much Tag loves New York, he trusts only Savile Row tailors, and yet he seems to think nothing of defiling said shirts in the name of a good bivalve. He would stay here all night if Greer let him. "You should take a plate of those over to the Otises," Greer said. "Karen is sitting and Bruce is stationed at her side like the Swiss Guard." "Do they eat oysters, do you think?" Tag asks. "Good question." Celeste confided that Mrs. Otis is excited about having lobster. There had been some confusion with the term clam bake, because she, Karen Otis, hadn't eaten lobster since her honeymoon more than 30 years earlier. Greer tried to hide her shock. At the end of every summer on this island, it was all Greer could do not to feel weary of lobster, having lobster rolls at Crew, the lobster spaghetti from the boarding house, lobster fritters and tartlets and beignets and avocado toast with lobster at every cocktail party she attends. Oh, that was very nice. We will go on to our second. I have to say one thing. They're all hardback books, but the type is quite different size, so there's a lot more words on this one. It was all right. I guess I didn't know they wore so much eyeshadow back then, back on the farm, I mean. Right, me either. But that's what I've been reduced to, huh? The pig girl. Or wench. Wouldn't they have called her a wench? You're more than that to me, E, a whole lot more. You're the goat girl too, and what the eggmogger, the shit slinger, the... Very funny, she said, and made a playful gesture as if to snatch up a handful of that very substance and fling it at me. But of course I don't have to tell you how slippery this medium is, how quickly it can shift underfoot, so that someone clowning around in a pair of pink rubber galoshes while standing ankle deep in it can lose her balance in a heartbeat. Which is just what happened. Looking surprised and apologetic, that too, she went down hard on her backside, right in the thick of it. And what did I do? What could I do? I laughed. The pigs, incidentally, were a semi-domesticated variety shipped in from Ossabaw Island off the Georgia coast. This was a population bred out of a feral remnant, stalked on the island by Spanish explorers in the early 16th century, and they evolved to suit their limited environment through the dwarfism many island species exhibit. As E.O. Wilson, whom I mentioned earlier, theorized in positing some of the principles of island biogeography back in the 1970s. As a dwarf variety, Ossabaw hogs were perfect for our purpose. The boar no taller than maybe 20 inches at the shoulder and weighing in at well under 200 pounds. The idea here was to provide meat, of course, as on any farm, but the complicating factor, as the Mission 1 crew discovered the hard way, was in finding enough fodder to keep the animals growing into the promise of their chops, hams, and spare ribs. Initially, GC had proposed using Vietnamese pot-bellied pigs, but word got out to the public and there was a howl of protest from hundreds of people who kept them as pets. Because, if you recall, it was around then that they were, very briefly, all the rage. I remember one overwrought newspaper editorial comparing us to dog eaters. As in, would you slaughter, skin, and bake the family dog? No. I said privately, of course, we wouldn't. We'd fricassee it. All right. I'm having a good time. And then for our last option, let's see here. Well, I will start the paragraph. Well, not the paragraph, but the sentence. It starts in the middle of a sentence, so I will go back and start the sentence. There's still many ways to cross, on foot or by boat. I think that is what Sarah and Glenn have done. Knowing I'm in hiding and worried about being followed, they probably decided not to visit me, but instead to go north. I hope they were able to transfer their assets before selective banking started. I hope that I was not alone in thinking to clean out my accounts. How much money do we have? Phil asks. People are still using cash? Not always, but it works half the time. He's made the bulk of our cash off selling little jelly packets in the vigorous city street markets. 1,000, plus I bought some cartons of cigarettes. Phil's eyes warm with admiration. Cigarettes? I can buy anything with those. People smoke like crazy now. I've got 1,000 counted up, wrapped in the empty freezer in newspaper. The rest of the money is buried under a flagstone by the back door. Why don't I tell Phil about all of the money, about the liquor and ammo at that moment? I don't know. But once I haven't told him, it is impossible to suddenly tell him. I say nothing. We've got to keep alert now, he says. I am alert. I'm so alert I can't stand it. Phil puts his arms around me and says that he's going to take the money and some cigarettes to buy false identity papers so we can follow my parents. He repeats again and again that I must not go out and I must not for any reason show myself in the doorway. He has come home to find me excited and agitated, walking around an inexcusably messy house. There are things out of place all over. I won't. Why would I? You're having trouble. I'm not, though. He doesn't see me all day, how hard-working and down-to-earth I've been all day. And it isn't easy with the wind high, with the trees crashing their limbs together out there, with the dry leaves changing color, and the sky, that hot autumn blue. I gotta say, I really pick good books. All right, so I will now share with you what I was reading. The first one was by Ellen Hildebrand, The Perfect Couple. This is last summer's pickup. I just haven't gotten around to reading it. I thought it sounded perfect, Ellen Hildebrand, talking about Nantucket life in a very high-end way. And a great summer read. I don't know if I'll save it for summer, but yeah, very nice book. I mean, she really has nice, easy reading prose with heart. There's definitely more there than just a summer read. And then the second one about Pig Girl and the pigs is T.C. Boyle's The Terranauts. I picked this up. It's a few years old now. Let me just see when it was written. Uh, 2016, so 3 years old. I got this in the bargain rack at Barnes & Noble, and I was happy to add it to my collection. So I haven't read it. It looks kind of interesting. I always love the way he finds some humor. Well, they all do, actually. And then the final one was Future Home of the Living God by Louise Erdrich. She is one of my favorite authors. She just speaks to the soul. I think of everything that we read, though, I think this probably wouldn't have called to me quite as much. It was in an odd spot in the book. I don't think that it's necessarily her prose so much as it was kind of hard getting a sense of the story. I mean, granted, the Terranauts, you had no idea where the pigs were coming from either, but yeah, I guess really it would be the T.C. Boyle if I were going to read next, which I'm not. I have my book club requirement, and so this month I'm reading, and I will be talking about it as well, Alias Grace by Margaret Atwood. So I'll be reading the book and also watching the 6-part series on Netflix. So I'll let you know what I find out there. But yeah, a fun tag. Thank you, Shaun. And I'll be back later and we'll talk some more books. Take care. Bye.